Hey, welcome to Cooking with Dorothy. We are talking about protein tonight. Drew's going to join us shortly. He's just finishing up his hot cold water therapy, and then he'll be joining us. I'm going to get to some tags here before we get started. If it'll let me. There we go. I'll tag it up and then we can get started talking about our third macro already. Last week, Drew did carbs, and the week before that, Drew and I did fats together. So if you haven't had a chance to check those out, I'd really suggest going back and having a look. And also, if you want to grab a piece of paper and a pen and have a little nutrition kind of notebook going on, these are really great crash courses that we've got happening. There we go. That we've got happening or going on this little bit. I'm just going to grab my computer too so that I can see comments coming in. Or maybe Drew, you can grab it. The computer right there. Just want to make sure that we've got everything set up
Maybe you turn the light on.
I could do that too. I kind of dropped the ball on the lights, didn't I? Whoopsie daisies, I didn't even get our studio lights.
Hey, Fit Fam.
Sorry about that.
Is that my tea?
This is my tea. Yours is on the counter.
Oh, you got me tea?
I did.
I was being sarcastic.
Go grab it. It's a grab your own tea kind of situation.
How about your PJs? You talked about those?
Shh. I didn't say anything about my PJs. Business on the top, PJs on the bottom.
Okay, move over a bit.
Why is it that work pants get tighter throughout the day?
That's good. So yeah, I just got out of. So I tried the cold water first. Usually I do the sauna first and then cold water.
We're in here. We're on the.
And I had it. I kind of forgot about it. So I had the water. The water's really high. So this time it was like up here, and I was like for the first round, and then I went in the sauna. If you go in the sauna and then sit in ice, it's not that bad, honestly.
I don't know though, because when you do, if you've ever done the therapy pools, or like the Nordic spa pools, you go hot, warm, cold. It's still very cold.
Hot, warm, cold, I don't know. You get like, well, you're in the sauna and you're like sweating, and then sometimes you get like, you know, it's like you have like a little claustrophobic and you're so hot, and then you sit in like an ice tub and you're like, ah, it's relieving.
Can't say I get that feeling. We've got Susan in here. Hey, Sue. And Annette's in here as well. Hello, hello.
You know what? It's not that bad, honestly.
Yeah.
It's
you know what's... I'm sorry, I'm totally interrupting you.
I know.
But we've done the cold water treatments in the pools a few times. And thinking about the cold water is way worse than actually doing it.
It's true.
So many people, including myself, always had the mindset that, oh, I just hate cold water.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Nobody likes
because I
cold
hate
water.
cold water. I just can't. So you already set yourself up for failure before you even try it.
It's true.
You've already failed.
It's true.
It's funny. And I did that. The first time that, well, maybe it was the second, anyway, the first couple times that we did the pools, I don't know, there is thermal pools. I think that's what they're called. First time we did them, I wouldn't even like go near the cold one. Wouldn't even think about it.
It's true.
Then the second time I kind of stuck my feet in, maybe tried, and I'm like, oh, too cold, too cold. But the third time I changed my mindset a little bit, and I was like, I can do this. And I went in.
She did.
Screaming.
She did a good job.
Screaming.
Well, you did it a few times, didn't you?
Yeah.
You did like 2 or 3 times.
I'm doing this.
It's not that bad. It's the mindset. It's the same thing at waking up at 4 a.m. Like, it sounds horrible because most people go to sleep at 10.
Right.
So you don't get a full night's sleep getting up at 4 or 10 or 11. So if you're going to sleep at 11 and you're getting up at 4, it's 5 hours. Of course, that sounds horrible. So most people are like, oh, at 4 a.m. I'm sleeping like halfway through my night. But it's the same thing with the ice bath. Like, it sounds worse than it actually is.
Even even when I go for my run, like 5:30, most of our neighborhood is still sleeping. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? Time to get up!
What's everyone doing in there?
Not that I peek at people's windows, but...
Okay, let's do the
Proteins.
So, just like, touch that real quick.
Can't touch this. Da-na-na-na.
Just like I talked about carbohydrates last time, and there's kind of like a tier, or what we would suggest is easier to digest and probably better on the body. So, like, probably easier to digest in most cases. So, if I were to jump right into it, I can go from easiest to digest to hardest to digest.
Proteins.
Yes. Well, these are meat proteins.
You're going to talk about the difference between plant proteins and meat proteins. Are you?
No?
Oh, okay. Then talk about the digestion level.
Well, I was going to talk about meat proteins. We're also going to talk
Just
about...
before, I just have to read Sue's comment. She says, I agree with putting PJs on after work. It's all about comfort.
But if you work in your PJs?
Maybe some do. You know, most teachers hate PJ Day. And I'm like, yeah, bring on the PJs.
I work in shorts and a hoodie.
I don't know why your work pants, they get tighter.
Or sweats.
You know, you start the day, they don't feel so bad, your work pants. And then by the end of the day, I'm like, get these things off of me.
I could not imagine going to work like your family, or a lot of people in the corporate world, like suit and tie and like pants, and I'm like, whoa, those are the most uncomfortable things in the world. I would not want to like have a business call or like, you know, like I'm like game ready. I gotta have like comfortable
clothing,
uniform on. You know, like I was like sprinting and diving, and if you were like this.
Whenever Drew and I go to an event that requires a suit or some dressed up clothing, he literally gets dressed a minute, like no joking, like a minute before we leave.
Yes.
Because he can't stand being in that clothes
Worse.
a minute longer. I'm like 2 hours before, just get in my fancy dress, like get used to this, like do your hair, do your makeup.
I feel like they could like do a way better job of trying to make those clothes comfortable. You know, like
you just can't make jogging pants work with a suit.
But you could make like suit pants feel like jogging pants.
I don't know, maybe you're on
Or
something.
why can't they make collared shirts and ties feel like a hoodie?
Maybe part of it is being uncomfortable. I don't know. Okay, go back to proteins. Sorry, we got a little off topic.
I was trying to talk about proteins and you deterred me.
Yeah.
Okay, so when it comes to meat proteins, we have a tier of easier to digest. So the problem is when it comes to digestion, most people deal with digestion issues, and it's because of the hard to digest foods that they're putting in their body. So if you were to put I would put egg whites and fish at the very top of easy to digest. So if you're eating egg whites or fish on a regular basis, you would have your digestion will work at a better rate than if you're having red meat 3 nights a week.
So red meat would be on the bottom.
Red
hardest to digest.
That's right. So you have your let's say egg whites. Egg whites without the yolks are probably like digest very quickly. So you have, let's say eggs, then we have fish, and then we could look at chicken, turkey. Those are probably very, very similar. And then you could look at pork isn't even there. Like those ones are like pork or like lamb, or I don't know who eats that. Maybe you guys do, but we don't. But then we would put red meat, which most people eat. So it's a tough one because we're in Alberta and we have friends and family who work on farms, own farms, have cattle. It's not that we're trying to tell you not to eat it. The problem with Alberta is the size of the red meat and the frequency. So having a huge steak 3 nights a week or steak turned into ground beef doesn't mean I'm not having steak. You know, I don't have steak 3 times a night. Like I only have it twice and I have ground beef twice. So that is the biggest issue, is the frequency and size when it comes to hard to digest foods.
Yeah, I grew up on the East Coast. We don't really do steak. And I mean, I don't even remember doing it, like having it as a kid. But anyway, and I came out to Alberta and I was like, oh my gosh, why is their steak so big? I don't get it.
Oh, and Albertans have no idea. Like I've been all over the world,
Get it.
and I've seen how people eat steak, and you come back and you're still like, wow, that's a big piece of meat. So 4 ounces is more than enough if you want to have a steak or if you want to have some ground beef or whatever it is. And we would suggest that on a less frequent basis than some of the easier ones to digest we talked about.
If you guys have questions, feel free to ask throughout. I was just going to point out that protein's kind of backwards to the carb talk that Drew had with you guys last week. On the carb show, we talked about getting away from the white stuff, the white bread, the white rice, the white pasta, because that's really hard for our bodies to digest. And you want to go for the more colorful stuff, the more colorful carbs, like sweet potatoes, for example. But with proteins, it's kind of the flip-flop. You want to try to get as much white, like egg whites and chicken, fish, as much white as possible, because those are going to be the easiest to digest.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny how it flip-flops.
So then the next step or next stage is plant-based protein. And this is always a question for us. Like people always ask, where do you get your protein from? Or are you getting enough protein? Or
I don't know why or how we got, maybe you know, Drew, how we got so stuck on meat as protein. How did we get stuck on it?
that's how we were raised.
Yeah.
It's called the SAD diet, Standard American Diet.
Oh.
SAD.
But our mindsets are like, it's so hard to break that mindset.
It is, because we grew up with like, what's for dinner? Steak.
Mm-hmm.
You don't say Brussels sprouts are for dinner, because most people are like, and because you don't know how to cook them, you boil them. And I'm actually, I talked about this. Do you know, in Detoxify Yourself, there's an extra 150 pages.
150.
Extra. I'm very excited about that. There's so much, I'm typing and it's just coming out for all, I don't even know where it's coming from. It's coming out. So, at any rate,
Sorry guys. I'll yawn.
I'm trying to talk to them.
Okay.
So.
Celine just jumped on. Hi.
What am I saying now?
You were saying about there's 100 and extra 50 pages. 100 and extra 50 pages. I'm just going to stop. Take a break.
Good idea. Just go over there in the corner and enjoy your tea. So, what was I saying? Before the...
Well, you were saying the SAD diet.
Oh, right. That's why I actually just wrote about that in the book. And it was just explaining like how conventional, like our conventional dinners, our conventional way of living around food has caused so many issues today. And it's around like I said, like steak and potatoes. Sorry, steak fans. But it's around this. Remember, it's around the size. You can still have your steak, but it's around the white potatoes. It's around the white bread or the rolls. Like none of that stuff is beneficial. It's not nutrient dense for you. So when we look at how we can live a little bit more healthily, it's a new word. When we live a little bit more healthy, we have to take these small steps to make some changes. So you said, how did it begin like that? It was because we got a roast, like a roast is on, it'll be ready by 5. It wasn't like, oh, we're going to do some veggies or we got a beautiful salad we're whipping up.
Yeah.
That's just not how we were raised. And I always wonder like...
And the meat kind of took over the big portion of our plate as well. If we're consuming meat, it should be the smallest portion of our plate. But the meat kind of took over as the main event, which is kind of funny.
Well, it's like turkey dinner, right? What are you having for dinner? Turkey? Or sometimes people have fish. You're having turkey or fish. It's still a meat.
Yeah.
But then when you have the turkey, it takes up half the table.
Yeah. But I was thinking like conventionally, like you have a big steak and you'd have white potatoes. Those are both the top hardest to digest foods. So you put the 2 hardest to digest foods in your body at the same time.
And you know what? Oops. You know what? On top of that is that dairy. I had this conversation with someone in our fifth time, but I didn't ask if I can share that publicly. But so what happens is you have a piece of meat, and you have dairy. Now, dairy milk, for example, turns into sugar very quickly, almost instantly in our body.
What
So
kind of is sugar?
What's that?
Kind of is sugar.
Right. So then you put you're eating a steak, for example, or red meat, or it could even be a chicken or fish, but you're eating meat, for example, that turns into a sugar as well, and you're washing it down with the sugar. So your body doesn't, like your stomach, and like we have good bacteria, we have digestive enzymes, we have things that can help digest our food. But because we're eating sugar and we're washing it down with sugar, it doesn't get a chance to digest properly. So there's a bit more scientific stuff that I don't completely understand yet. But we have issues with the whole digestion and them going in different tubes too quickly when they shouldn't be.
Food combining is a thing. Yeah. It gets really complicated and complex. But we have friends that have studied food combining quite intensely and stick by it, and it just gets pretty complex.
It does. I work with different holistic nutritionists, and I've had many on the radio show. So I've talked to a lot of different ones, and it's definitely something to consider. But the very basis of, but like. The way we teach is very similar to holistic nutrition. Like and I'm talking about like the holistic nutrition course. I'm not talking about like because we take the more holistic approach. But if you look at the way we teach, it'd be very similar to someone that took the holistic nutrition course, which neither of us did. I'm okay with that too. You know what I have a problem with is like maybe I don't need to get into that.
We can move on.
Okay.
Can move on. What else? Another thing. Well, you were going to talk about plant-based protein as well.
Yes.
Because a lot of times when we think about protein, we just think about meat, and then if we don't eat meat, then we feel like we have to supplement with protein powder or other things, like there's protein bars and things like that.
Soy products.
So
tofu. You want some protein? Sure, I'll have some tofu.
Oh yeah, the plant-based world is full of tofu.
They always ask us, like, well, no meat. You want some protein? No meat, please. And they're like, so
tofu?
No protein? And we're like, there's protein in the food. We don't want meat. And then they say, okay, then they bring the tofu. Like, no, don't tofu.
Or we're like, yeah, we say no meat, so then they're like, oh, vegetarians, which we're not. Oh, vegetarians. Oh, you want tofu? No tofu, no meat. And then
very confused.
They're very confused. And what are these people?
What's wrong with that?
You know,
they're probably like, those people are very confused.
It's funny because people always want to put a label. Like, are you vegetarian? Are you vegan? Are you keto? Are you paleo? And we don't have one. Like, people are like, well, what are you?
We eat healthy. Yeah. People, you could probably consider us plant-based if you wanted to label, but we still eat meat once in a while.
We still eat a little meat.
And a lot of like plant-based or no.
So we can't say we're vegetarian because we do eat a little bit of seafood and meat once in a while, right? So it's like, anyway.
So when it comes to plant-based proteins, you can look at a couple things. You can look at something like quinoa, which is a complete protein. So quinoa is also in the carb category. So quinoa is actually a seed, and they also call it a pseudo grain. Not that that matters in the big scheme of things, other than that it's a superfood and then it has the complete lineup of amino acids. So the same amino acids that make up a meat protein. So with quinoa though, it's much more easy to utilize, digest, and absorb. So your body will get more protein out of it. You know what's also interesting is that as we do more research around these greens is that spirulina, obviously it's algae, it's plants, cup for cup, pound for pound, it has more protein than red meat. And people are like, how can that be? It's just because of the genetic makeup of naturally occurring foods. And just because something like an algae isn't known for a high protein content, people have a really hard time understanding that. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to quinoa, again, it has the complete protein, the complete lineup of amino acids that a meat would have. And then you could look at hemp seeds. Hemp seeds is also a seed, and it's also a complete protein. So you get tons of good quality protein like grams of protein when eating plants and not having meat.
And it's funny because I don't know, plant-based is so interesting to me because there's so many crossovers. So for example, a lot of healthy fats will, like for example, nuts and seeds will also be high in protein. So it's kind of like double, right?
And also they're high in calories, which scares a lot of people, but
Right.
those are clean calories that can be burned off as fuel. The problem is that people eat mostly saturated fat. I don't think we talk about fats.
We talked about fats, yes.
Fats is a tough one because when people hear saturated fats, they're like, but then you can have like, you can have grass-fed butter, for example. You can have medium-chain triglycerides.
MCT.
And people are like, is that a saturated fat? And then I'm like, did you know your brain is mostly saturated fat?
Dun, dun, dun.
So it's, I don't understand, like it can be confusing, but that's why we're here to help you understand. But when it comes to those clean calories, we need clean calories to burn fuel throughout the day. And people are afraid of clean calories. They're like, oh, nuts, seeds.
Well, people are just afraid of calories in general.
Yes, it's true.
Right?
Yeah. So you have your nuts and seeds, which are really good, really high in fats, omega-3s that we need. They're really high in good quality proteins, and then people aren't eating them because they're scared of calories. Which is a mistake if you ask me.
But it's different. Like for example, I don't know what a portion of nuts would be. See, I don't count calories, so I don't even know. But a handful of nuts, like say it's like 200 something calories. Let's just say, well, that's a lot different than you can't compare those calories to the 200 calories that are in French fries, for example. Yes. It's not equal. Like it doesn't, even though maybe the calorie count is the same, 250 calories in your French fries and 250 calories in your
like
handful of nuts. Well, anyway, I'm just trying to make an example. Like, it's not the same. Like
no,
your body can use the calories from the healthy fats, from the nuts and seeds. Your body has no idea what to do with the calories from the French fries.
So it's stored as body fat.
It's stored as body fat. Yeah. Anyway, we got really going in a circle there.
No, that's a good one because I don't think a lot of people understand that not every calorie is created equally.
No, it's not the same.
So those calories from French fries, those will be stored as body fat. Your calories from nuts and seeds will be burned off as energy. To like, just because of the number, that's why I don't like to weigh. Numbers. We don't like to weigh. We don't like to
count calories
or like
count your colors, not your calories.
Because that stuff, like, it doesn't equate. It doesn't add up. So coming back to the plant-based protein, so we mentioned quinoa, we mentioned hemp seeds. Those are both complete proteins. You can get a lot of protein, so you can sprinkle the hemp seeds on your
stir fry, for example.
Thank you. And we can also add the quinoa to
just about anything.
Salad.
What the great?
I thought you were gonna jump in there.
Sorry. What the great thing about quinoa is that on its own, it pretty much is, but doesn't really have much of a flavor. So whatever you add it to, it's going to take on that flavor. So for example, for my lunch tomorrow, I had added some quinoa to my Greek salad to get some more protein in. But my quinoa is going to take on the flavors of the Greek salad, right?
And it's light and fluffy.
Yeah, you don't even really taste it. Susan says, I didn't know that. I look at the calories. Good to know.
Don't look at the calories.
Look at ingredients.
Yeah. And like that nutritional fact section, it's so deceiving. They build those to be deceiving. So they can say only 100 calories per it says 100 calories per serving. So, and then the serving is 2 chips. And like, who's gonna
eat 2 chips?
Right? So you have 10 chips and you have 1,000 calories, and you're like, and then people are gaining weight and they're like, well, I got this 100 calorie bag per serving. I don't understand what's happening. So we have to get away from that. We really do have to get away from counting calories and pay attention to the ingredients and make sure that you are consuming clean ingredients much differently than.
There was like a whole trend you guys may have remembered. It was like probably like 10, 15 years ago. And it might still be going on, I'm not sure, but the 100 calorie snack bags. Do you remember that? So it'd be like 100 calories of these crackers or 100 calories of these
Fish.
Cheetos or
The
what?
yellow fish, what are those called?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Kids eat them, the little fish things.
Oh, the crackers?
The cheese, the what are they called? Goldfish.
Goldfish crackers? Anyway, there was this big like trend for a while about the 100-calorie snack bags, and it just went crazy. But then you look at the ingredients of the 100 calories, and it's like half the package, and then your 100 calories is like this little handful. So filling.
We were at a trade show, and like we were standing there, it's complete true protein, healthy food, healthy living, and I remember at like the back of this, it was like a square or a circle, and then people were coming up and they were, I don't know, they were giving these bags away for free or next to free, but they had these like bags of chips or popcorn or I don't know what it was, but people were like
puffed chips, puffy, like
yeah.
like kind of like cheesies that puffed.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And people were like excited, like they just stole something. So I asked the lady, I was like, what do you got in the bag there? And she was like, oh no, she's like, oh, we got some chips or whatever she said. And I was like, well, what's in them? She's like, I don't know, but they're only 100 calories.
Woo! She was like, she hit the jackpot.
I was like, oh my gosh.
I don't know what I'm eating, but it's 100 calories.
I'm like, you should know what you're eating. You should know what you put in your body. Everything you put in your body, you should know.
Yeah. One other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit. Maybe we don't have time to get into it too much, Drew, but I know you're kind of an expert at talking about protein isolates and protein powders. How they're not all created equally.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know where you're going with that.
Well, I just think it's important to know, like I had mentioned earlier, that a lot of times if we start eating more plant-based and we're kind of concerned about our protein intake, like, oh my gosh, because I'm eating more plants or more plant-based or more vegetarian, I'm not getting enough protein because I cut out the meat, so I have to supplement with protein powders. But a lot of times when we're supplementing with protein supplements, powders or bars or whatever it is, the ingredients are horrible, right? In the protein powders, so we really have to be careful with the protein isolates, like the protein powders, for example, because the industry is very, how do you say? Deceptive, but also bombarded with a lot, based on advertising, right? And so it's not really based on you would think it's based on nutrition, but it's not really based on quality ingredients or nutritionally sound ingredients.
It's the same as like those big companies like Post, for example, or Nestle. Like those companies aren't built around health, obviously, but they have huge marketing dollars. Mm-hmm. So it's the same as in the protein industry or the supplements industry. A lot like that. You see that Jameson name brand, like
in the supplement industry.
Yeah, I'll tell you that in a second. But it's a very low quality product. Tons of horrible ingredients we shouldn't be consuming without question. But they have a lot of marketing dollars and they're cheap and I'm guessing they have really high margins, which is why everyone stocks them. And they're horribly filled with toxins. So I feel like I'm trying to compare like those big companies, those big grocery type of companies to the supplement industry. I think people feel like the supplement industry should be cleaner or healthy, and it's not. It's no different than grocery stores. And then you look at, like I actually went to a pharmacy here. I don't want to name names, but I went to a pharmacy recently, and it was newer, and I was kind of expecting like better quality products. It seemed like a bit smaller and it was a pharmacy, and I was expecting more of like a health food store. I don't know why. And I went in there and I looked at the products and I was like, what are you doing? Why would you do this? So, but I don't think they knew. And I actually asked them one of the products. They had MCT oil there, and it was very oddly labeled. It wasn't very clear on which C it was, like which ingredients it was. Yeah, thank you. And I asked the guy, and he's like, this is for blood pressure. Good oils for blood pressure. And I was like, but I mean, I don't know if that's his fault. Like, I think he was the pharmacist who understands more about pharmaceuticals. So he probably would have been better off saying, I don't really know. Maybe I can do some research and look it up for you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there was something I was going to say. Oh, in regards to more protein powder. That's one of the reasons we wanted to create our own protein powder is because clients kept years ago when Drew first started on personal training, clients kept asking, well, what protein supplement should I take? What protein? And when Drew and I really started digging deep into it, we couldn't really find one that we'd even recommend, right? Anyone taking. And that's when Drew approached me and was like, or said to me, well, we're just going to have to make our own. And I laughed at him. I was like, oh. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, you're serious. He wants to make his own protein powder. But that's where our supplement business first started.
Yeah, because the industry is so bombarded with low quality products. It was like, we got to do something so I can recommend something. But you want to read that?
And it says, years ago, a friend of mine had a big plastic grocery bag full of stuff, and I asked what she had, and it was expired vitamins. She excitedly asked me if I wanted any. I said, I'll pass, thanks. Yuck. That's funny.
Yeah, it's a tough one. But I just want to finish up on the proteins from food.
Okay.
And then we can come back around to the supplements.
Sorry, did I zigzag?
So when it comes to, you can also find plants or grains or legumes, however you want to put it, that will make a complete protein.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess you can combine vegetables to make a complete protein. So if you look at beans and brown rice, those make a complete protein. So that combination we talked about, food combining briefly, but that
briefly. I caught that. Briefly.
Put in the true form dictionary. So if you combined the
beans and brown rice,
thank you, that makes a complete protein. So that acts very similar to a meat product. And then you could look at the digestion. It could possibly digest easier than a meat product. Mm-hmm. So you have your say it again. Your
beans and brown rice.
Thank you. You look, give me the blank stare when I ask you to fill in.
Because I was kind of not listening. And I'm like, oh gosh.
That's exactly what happened. So you have the beans and the brown rice, then you have a side salad. And then maybe you put some hemp seeds for some extra protein in your healthy fats. Done. You have a complete meal. You have all the macronutrients you need. Then you could look at, that's why I really like the green smoothie, is because if you combine celery and cucumber, that makes a complete protein as well. Oh. So you're having a lot of people like, oh, in the morning they're like, oh, where are you getting your protein from? I'm like, well, this is all the amino acids. Like that's the complex that
makes meat.
That makes the protein in meat. So you're getting protein as well in the morning, and most people think you're just getting vegetables.
Right. It's so cool. So fascinating.
So then coming back to the protein supplements, you hear two different thought processes. Some people say, I don't need a protein supplement because I eat meat. I would say that's a false statement. But then some people kind of think the opposite. They think that they only need protein supplements and not any forms of meat. And I say any forms of meats being high protein plants or grains as well. So we feel that we need both to have a nice combination. A well-balanced or well-rounded meal, nutrition.
And because we have our protein powders now, we've heard from, over time, we've heard people say, oh, I can't do protein powders because it bothers my digestion. Or I can't do protein powders, it makes me constipated, right? But that would be, how would I say, Drew? That would be the protein powders with the less than ingredients. So you need to find, if you are going to supplement, then you need to find something that has easily to digest foods in the protein powder. So for example, with our vanilla protein, our true form protein powder, it has fermented, sprouted ingredients in there, organic ingredients, plant ingredients that will help you, that help aid in the digestion process.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is that people think that all supplements are created equally. Doesn't matter if it's protein supplements, magnesium supplements, you go to the supplement rack. That's why that Jameson brand is so popular, because it's so cheap and people don't know the difference. They're like, oh, that's the cheapest one on the rack, done.
Yeah.
Not knowing that is doing more damage than not having anything at all.
I was walking around our neighborhood the other day going for a walk, and I saw a lady like unpacking her car, and she was unpacking like one of the giant tubs like that you'd buy of protein powder, like you'd buy at like Costco or something like that. And I like wanted to jump and like just, no, I want to save you, because that's gonna cause so many more digestion problems and health problems. Like it's just frustrating because of it's so deceiving. You are thinking that you're doing a good thing for your health, and it's a good deal. It's good financially, good for the pocket. But unknowingly, most times, you're going to be causing so much more health problems.
Yeah.
Digestion issues.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I was saying. But
did I jump in again?
I think you did.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. Oh, you
just stepping on your words.
Yeah. Don't know what I was saying. So that it's okay. So that's I guess that's protein. So you have your different types of protein, your different levels of protein that we talk about. And you see it in the meal plan. Like we put those in the meal plan for a reason. The well-balanced meals, and then the different types of meats, for example, or you'll see quinoa in there, brown rice in there, you'll see lentils, and like there's a reason that we design those meal plans for you guys. And then, of course, when it comes to supplements, make sure you guys, like, we're big fans of quality over quantity. And that's one of the reasons, like, before we decide if we're going to, I'll keep meaning to put this down, but I never do. But there's a reason when it comes to supplements, we have like a checklist of, is it something that we need or we want ourselves? Is there a lack of education on the market, which most times there is? And is this something that we would recommend or could benefit our friends and family? And if those aren't on, if every one of those aren't on the list, then we pass. Like, I'm not really interested. So when it comes to supplements, we hope that you guys will consider good quality ones before just grabbing any one.
And with protein powders, we do, like, I know most of you already have our protein powders, which are in our supplements, which we appreciate greatly your support. But if you're not sure, we do have 2 different protein powders that you can purchase from us as well. So we have our protein isolate, which is the vanilla True Form protein powder, and then we also have Complete Truth protein, which is more of a meal replacement as well. So we do sell clean options as well.
Yeah, and our CTP is more for baking, and you can throw that in smoothies, but we suggest if you're going to bake more, you should have the CTP. It's a really nice gluten-free flour. And then the vanilla protein, that is more for it's more for shakes or smoothies. So we kind of have both. If you're going to have more shakes, the vanilla. If you're going to have more baking, then you buy the CTP. Or you can have CTP in baking and
you can have both.
The vanilla if you're going to use them for 2 purposes.
Yeah, if you're going to do both. I think that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
So we have our sugar detox coming up. You guys should have all everyone in our Fit Fam would have got a message from Nick. And Nick's just sent a message out. We just said, hey, we're hoping to get people in early. So here's a couple things. I'll just tell you real quick. The earlier we get people in, then we can start inventory, something that is always going to be something to balance. So if we know that we're going to have 5 package 4s going out, then we know we have certain inventories that's going to be diminished. So then maybe we can try to get restocked before everyone else, like the general public, starts to order. Then the other thing is it's really difficult. Like I'm actually trying to finish the final edits of Detox by Yourself so we can get to the print shop before cutoff. And then, so that's basically taking up most of my day. And I've got Nick doing 100 other tasks, and Dorothy's filming when she can, when she's not at school. But the sooner we can get people in the group, then we can put them in the group. And then we can, if you share, then we give you a free gift, for example. If you bring a friend, we give you another free gift. So we're offering a lot of things, but it all takes time. And if we have 25 people all come in within 2 days, I'm going to lose my mind. So we call this a soft launch. And we're hoping that those of you that are interested, if you're not interested, that's perfectly okay. We're still going to carry on with our Fit Fam as usual. But if you do want in, we're trying to get you guys in early so we can get you set up, so you have access to the group, and so you can access to share if you want to get some free stuff. So that's why we're trying to get you guys in early.
Sue says, is there an ebook for the new one?
There's not an ebook, so it's $19.99 is the cheapest package, and that gives you a physical copy of a book, and that gives you access to the group. So within the group, we're going to, and then you can still do we actually had some people. Dana was one of them. Dana in our Fit Fam was one of them. Cindy was one of them. Like they were loaded up because they were bringing friends. Like you share, you get a 200 gram bag. You bring a friend, you get a 600 gram bag. So we were giving out boxes of flakes from everyone that was bringing people, sharing, recommending, which was awesome.
Yeah.
So some people say, well, what if I already have a book? Like, well, there's at least 150. I'm not done yet. There's at least 150 new pages in there, and you get the whole group. So we're going to be live every night for 10 days. We're going to be doing giveaways. We're going to have prizes.
Sure it's 10?
What's that?
Sure it's 10.
Is it 7?
I thought it was 7.
Could be 7. At any rate.
It's 7.
Okay.
We'll confirm that.
Well, we usually start early. Soft launch is the 27th.
I got you.
And then we go a day after. So at any rate, if all you wanted to do was the package number 1, I think $20 is a great deal to get a bunch of free stuff and get a ton of information over 7 to 10 days.
Yeah. I also, is that the detox? I just want to mention we are starting tomorrow morning with our live workouts too.
Yes.
Tomorrow morning, so
6 a.m.
6 a.m.
Mountain Time. And bring a band and a ball if you have one. If you don't, you can still do the exercises with weights or a dumbbell.
Yeah. I think that's it.
Yes. We're going to put a post up maybe I wasn't on the sugar detox. We're going to put a post up in the sugar detox as well. Package 5 actually gets you $100 off.
Holy.
Package 5 gets you $50 of free product, and it gets you $50 off of the whole package. That's only for the Fit Fam though. Only the Fit Fam.
Oh.
Only the Fit Fam.
Because we have exclusive Fit Fam gifts.
Yeah. So package 5 gets a liquid mag and a mama bag. Package 4 gets a mama bag. Package 3 gets and that's just for being in the Fit Fam and joining the sugar detox.
Okay.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks for tuning in. That was a longer one, but thanks for sticking around.
Yeah, that was fun. Have a good night, everyone.
Yes, we'll catch you tomorrow morning, bright and early.
See you tomorrow for workout.
Bye.